Good evening. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Welcome to the Alva Chamber of Commerce Citizens of Distinction Awards Gala. Thank you all for coming out this evening and sharing this wonderful evening with us. We do have some distinguished guests with us this evening. I know they're standing in the back of the room, but I'm still going to point them out. Jeremy Bennett with Congressman Lucas. And Brooks Wright with Senator Langford. I know many of you know me, but my name is Alex Mance. I am the Chamber Director for the Alva Chamber of Commerce, and I also work for the City of Alva in Economic Development. As you saw by the PowerPoint this evening, we've had an amazing year. From the ribbon cuttings and the new and renovated businesses, Alva Day at the Capitol, the Lauren Heaton reception, our record Big Cruise and Car Show, the Egg Drop, our legislative turkey hunt, legislative breakfasts, the Glow Run, Gold Bug Gulp and Gallop, Bahama Breakaway, the recent Girls Night Out retail promotion, and the new Paint the Town Red scavenger hunt for our Northwestern students, just to name a few. Did you guys like what you saw on our PowerPoint? We would love to have your involvement in the Alva Chamber of Commerce. Have you guys enjoyed yourselves this evening so far? Our membership and banquet committees envisioned tonight and have worked tirelessly to bring you this evening. This event is to thank our chamber members and those in our community who have gone above and beyond to make a difference. The mission is to bring you, the member, more for your membership. Your chamber board is working hard on a new website, and Norval has spent many hours among other board members to bring you a new website, and we hope to launch that pretty soon. It will focus more on our membership benefits as well as tourism. Our Christmas committee has planned a retail open house on November 29th, and December 5th we will have a Christmas movie at the Rialto, the grand lighting of the downtown square, the candy cane cash giveaway, and caroling with Fred, and I think you all know who that is. We host community coffees throughout the year, and those are hosted by our chamber members. If you've not attended, they are open to anyone who wants to attend, and we welcome you to join us. It's not only a place for our board and for you, our members, to network, but also to share community events that go on throughout the year. Did you know that year to date, our chamber has put $29,000 in chamber bucks back into Alva? And tonight we'll be giving away $100 in chamber bucks, and your ticket will probably be in the hopper, and hopefully we pull yours. These events, fundraisers, ribbon cuttings, meetings, promotions, would not be possible without the time, energy, dedication, and devotion of our board of directors and my assistant, Jody Bradford. At this time, I would like to call your new chamber president, Melissa Graybill, to the stage to introduce the 2015-16 Alva Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors.
Thank you. Norval Ritter is the vice president. Mary Hamilton is secretary. Bryant Gingrich is past president. Mary Klein, Jody Brott, Cody McMurphy, Natasha Foster, and Brenda Hood round out the board. And Bryant Gingrich couldn't be here this evening, so Monday's board meeting, I'm going to present him with a clock and thank him for his past years on the chamber.
At this time, I would like to introduce our speaker for the evening, Tyler Powell, the Deputy Secretary of Environment. Tyler Powell is Oklahoma's Deputy Secretary. He has been with the Governor Fallon's administration since April of 2011. In his role, he advises the Governor and Secretary of Energy and Environment on issues related to air, land, water, and wildlife, and provides oversight of the state's environmental agencies, including the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality, the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation, and the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. Prior to being in his role as the field rep, he was a field rep, for Congressman Tom Cole. Tyler is a native of Guthrie and holds a BS in Ag Business. Thank you, Tyler, for being with us this evening.
Thank you very much. You know, it feels fun. I feel really tall in this room right now, so I always appreciate that. And I was thinking on the way up here, so growing up, I grew up in Guthrie and went through and had the chance to participate in the National FFA organization. And we always came to Alva for the speech contest up here, and I always won for some reason, and that was about the only place I ever won. So it always feels good to come back and now give a speech in Alva because it's the only place I could ever really win. So I want to go through and thank you all again for having me. So I want to apologize, though, first. I think the invitation first was for my boss, Secretary Teague, who would love to be here and loves getting out, especially into western Oklahoma. But he had a little bit of an unexpected, or I guess it wasn't an unexpected. He is currently in Colorado and just celebrated the birth of his first grandchild last night. So he sends his regards and apologizes for not being able to make it here today. So everyone asks me, the first thing we always talk about is what is energy and environment and what is our office? We're a weird little entity of state government. We get to travel around the country and we constantly have to explain what we do. And this key part is we are the governor's energy and environment advisor. And most folks think, well, energy and environment, those are competing interests. Those are things that wouldn't get along. Those are things that go through and would hurt each other. And that's not the case in Oklahoma. Oklahoma was actually the third state to combine energy and environment, and we were the first state west of the Mississippi, and it's a model that's being used now across the country. So whenever we look at combining energy and environment, we looked at what are the issues, what are the things that are important to Oklahoma, and those are Oklahoma resources. Those are things like oil and gas, like electrical generation, our water, our air, our land, our wildlife. And there's a way that we can go through and allow both to succeed, and that's what we try to do through our office. We go through and focus on kind of major policy areas related to oil and gas development, electrical generation, water policy, air, wildlife, all those fun issues, and figure out how to go through and balance both the needs of Oklahoma industry with the conservation of our state's resources. We joke all the time, one of our major focus areas right now is on water. And water's been a hot topic. It's been a hot topic over the past couple years with the completion of the Oklahoma Comprehensive Water Plan, which I'll get to in a minute. But during that time, we've had the opportunity to go through and explore what is the water-energy nexus. And so tonight, that's what I want to talk about, is how does water and energy work together? It's something that we don't think about a whole lot, but it's been brought to the forefront in recent years. So when we look at Oklahoma is an actually very water-rich state, and that's one thing most folks don't really quite get. We've actually done a lot, and unlike a lot of our western counterparts, we actually still have water available to go through and promote growth. But that's been a challenge in the past couple of years. We faced an ongoing drought that began in October of 2010, and when I go through and look today, Woods County continues to remain in a drought, and that's something we have to deal with. We've seen record rainfalls this summer. We've seen lakes, especially in western Oklahoma, go from their record lows to overflowing in the matter of 10 days. And those are the things that makes Oklahoma unique. And we have to figure out how to go through and deal with our water issues in the long term and talk about it. So one of the things we did right as Governor Fallin came in is Oklahoma completed probably one of the most comprehensive looks at Oklahoma water, and that's the Oklahoma Comprehensive Water Plan. It was a $28 million effort that took 6 years and went through and kind of identified thousands of pages of technical documents, thousands of pages of information, and then a high-level policy manual for Oklahoma policymakers to discuss. And there were 8 key priority recommendations is what we call them. I'll kind of run through them real quick and then kind of start explaining a little bit more. And so those were water infrastructure financing. We assessed that over the next 50 years, Oklahoma will have to provide over $82 billion in water and wastewater infrastructure across the state. We went through and had developed one of the most successful models to loan to communities, including Alva, water and wastewater dollars at low interest rate loans. But that was only going to be able to provide about an extra $3 billion in the next 50 years. Thanks to the voters of Oklahoma in 2012, they passed State Question 764, which provides a way for Oklahoma to provide to our communities that necessary funding for water and wastewater infrastructure. And that's going to be big as communities continue to grow. It's going to be big as we go through and continue to bring in new industries and that we think outside the box. The next one was regional planning. And there were a whole lot of different takes, and this was probably one of the most controversial pieces, one of the things we heard most during the water plan was let there be local control. Let's talk about our local priorities. During the time right after the water plan, there was a number of legislative efforts that failed to go through and talk about forming these regional working groups. But what came out of it was a sense, and we've seen that here now in Northwest Oklahoma with the Northwest Water Action Plan, is regional groups and communities coming together and having these tough talks about water and what they see their water doing in the next 50 years. And that's something we're very proud of as a state. We're very proud to promote that and talk about how these were organically put together. And we're now relying on the data out of it and the priorities to go through and make water use decisions. We talked about excess and surplus water. How much water do we have? Where do we have it, and where's it at? And how can we get it? In-stream and environmental flows, making sure that we provide water in rivers and lakes for recreation, providing those things. Recreation is Oklahoma's third largest industry behind oil and gas and agriculture, and that's an important issue for Oklahoma. Dealing with state and tribal water consultation. As most of you are aware, we are currently in the middle of a lawsuit that I can't really talk about between the Chickasaw and Choctaw Nation, but we've seen a lot of good work through negotiations on that. A piece that I'll hit big tonight was water conservation, reuse, and recycling, and that's one of the places that we'll get into, and I'll talk a little bit more about our Water for 2060 initiative. Water supply reliability, making sure that all Oklahomans have access to water for the next 50 years. And that's one of the things I think we're proud to say is Oklahomans will have water for the next 50 years, but we're going to have to make some changes. And then finally was not only measuring what quantity of water we have, but is it good water? Is it usable water? Making sure we have records for folks and decision makers to know where their water is coming from and what the quality of that water looks like. This is probably one of the most key updates of the water plan that we've ever done. And it has provided kind of the groundwork for what our office has worked on over the next couple of years. As we look, and I'm going to toss some numbers, and I'm a numbers guy. I'm an economist by training, but I've never used that degree, but I like talking numbers. In Oklahoma, total state water use, so that's for everything, is equal to about 1.8 million acre feet. And someone asks, well, what's that? 1 acre foot's 325,000 gallons, but I'm going to put it into something that most folks can understand. The state of Oklahoma each year uses 1.25 Grand Lakes worth of water. That's a lot of water, but we also have a lot of other water stored across the state. If you go through and look at what we project water use will look like in 2060, we'll move from 1.25 Grand Lakes to 1 Lake Texoma worth of water each year. So we've got a lot of opportunity to go through and figure out how we can make the most of that water, how we can go through and take steps today to allow for our future water demands to grow. So one of the things that we went through and established, and it's one of the strangest issues I've ever had the opportunity to work on that's been fun. We had a New York Times reporter call our office, and he wrote a story about an initiative we launched in 2012 called Water for 2060. He went through and said, this sounds like something that would come out of the state capitol in Sacramento, in Springfield, Illinois, or about any other liberal state. But it came out of solid red Oklahoma. And it's Water for 2060. We established a statewide goal to use no more fresh water in 2060 than our state used in 2010. And you might ask, so what does that mean? What does that do to growth? That still allows for growth. We just need to go through and make sure we're using water in the right way. We want to go through and promote the use of water conservation, making sure we're using the water we need to. But what we really want to work on is developing technology to allow for water reuse, allow for the use of treated wastewater in different systems. I go through and I talk about it every day. Can I get a show of hands? How many of you all watered your lawn in the past year? Okay, so did you all know you all use the safest, cleanest drinking water in the world to water your lawn? Do you need to use the safest, cleanest drinking water in the world to water your lawn? No. If you go talk with the city of Alva, they'll tell you what the treatment costs are to treat water. There's a lot easier ways and a lot easier and cheaper methods to go through and use that. And so what we're focusing on is going through and finding new uses for water, finding uses for water that was literally going to be flushed down the toilet, and find different ways to do it. One of the cool examples that we have, Oklahoma, and so I'm going to put on my energy hat now. Oklahoma is a net energy exporting state, especially for electricity. So we've got 3 natural gas-fired power plants in Oklahoma that provide about 20% of the state's power. Those 3 power plants that are located in Lawton, Oklahoma City, and Newcastle use treated wastewater to cool. So right now in Oklahoma, we use about 18% of the state's water each year to cool power plants. Just for cooling water. It literally gets evaporated into the air. By using treated wastewater, they save about 2.3 billion gallons of fresh water each year. That is 9 months worth of water for the city of Norman, Oklahoma's 3rd largest city, that we're saving. Those are the common sense steps we want to take. We want to go through and look at what we can use in the manufacturing and oil field to go through and use water that's coming out of the ground. I'll get into our next kind of big piece is produced water. So our office has taken a major focus on earthquakes and induced seismicity across the state. We, in Oklahoma, bring up billions of gallons of water each year as we recover oil and gas. And simply we have been injecting it right back down into the earth. And that's worked for 100 years. That is technology that will still be there and we will still do it. But we have to make a better use out of that water. I think everyone's felt their house shake. I think everyone's felt the ground shake, and that's not something Oklahomans are too used to. We're taking a major initiative right now to go through and look at what are the uses for produced water. Last year, the state of Oklahoma brought up about 4 billion gallons of produced water, and we injected it right back down there. During that time, and years before, we were in some of the worst drought conditions, and that water could have been used for other purposes. We're now looking at what are the technological barriers. What technology exists out there? How can we put it to use? How can we use it to go through and potentially use for irrigation water to help farmers and ranchers across the state? How can we treat that and use it for cooling water? And then potentially 5-10 years down from the road, how can we turn that into a water supply for this state? If you want to talk about how we're going to meet our water demands in the future, we have to look at produced water. So we've talked about the produced water issue, and that's caused our earthquakes. Oklahoma has seen a record number of earthquakes. And as of today, we have now seen over 700 magnitude 3.0 earthquakes. That takes a lot. That's not something Oklahomans are used to, but the state's working on it. We've gone through, last year about this time, Governor Fallon created the Seismic Coordinating Council. That's a council made up of state agencies, of the regulatory agencies, the research agencies, and the oil and gas industry to sit down and share information and share data. That's gone through and led to new innovations being done through the Oklahoma Geological Survey that have resulted in additional regulations on oil and gas, and went through and identified ways to go through and safely dispose of water without causing earthquakes. We've gone through and we've launched a major website, and that's earthquakes.ok.gov. It's a modern site that we're very proud of. You can go through and see all the earthquakes that have occurred in Oklahoma in the last 5 years. You can go through and time it down to a map. You can literally zoom in on your house and see where the earthquakes are near. You can also see where every disposal well in the state is, and you can find a wealth of information on there. And that's one thing we want to go through and continue. We focused on bringing together the agencies to get them talking. So as we've brought together the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. They have exclusive jurisdiction over oil and gas operations and injection wells for oil and gas. They are taking every step necessary to go through and reduce seismicity. Nearly 100% of the requests on operators to go through and cut injection volumes or make sure that they are injecting properly has gone through and been fulfilled. This is an unprecedented effort between industry and the regulated community to go through and comply without question. We're making sure that we move on a science-based process and making sure that directives that take place are based on the best science. We're going through and we're seeing what is taking place and adapting. Recently, we've seen earthquake activity increase in the Cushing area, and we have taken new steps in recent weeks to go through and deal with some unique challenges in Cushing, mainly related to the oil tanks there. We're currently working with state and federal agencies to address additional needs and go through and find that. But what else can we do? We've got a lot of steps that we can take as a state to go through and make sure we're using water properly, making sure that we still allow for our energy industry to continue. And those are efforts that our office wants to take. We're proud of the efforts of what Oklahomans are doing. And we have gone through and seen that over recent months, earthquakes have began to subside. Now, we're still granted multiple times above background, but we want to go through and begin to see those go down. And we think we've taken steps now and will continue to take steps. As we kind of look into the future, we continue to work with state and federal agencies to go through and make sure that Oklahoma's energy and environment needs are met. Make sure that we continue to have an economy that our state's built on related to the energy sector. As we go through some tough times, we want to make sure that we provide opportunities to allow that sector to continue. So I want to thank you all for inviting me here tonight. I want to thank you all for putting up with me as I go through and ramble about water, but I want to go through and make sure you all know about what some of the key issues that we're working on from the Energy and Environment Office. Thank you.
Tyler, thank you again for being with us here this evening. This has been an exciting topic for us and Jodan and Mayor Chafee and now Mayor Parker. We have spent the last year with the Northwest Oklahoma Alliance working on the Northwest Water Action Plan. And so what he's been discussing hits home. Our city is actively working on, and you've probably experienced it in the last couple of weeks, getting new meters. And so our city is working hard to save water and be stewards of our water. So thank you again for being with us here this evening. At this time, we're going to go ahead and have some drawings. We're going to draw tonight for $100 in meat donated by the Alva's Market, $100 in chamber bucks, and a decorative pumpkin. The chamber bucks were donated by Alva State Bank and the pumpkin by the Schuessler Agency. The first item we're going to draw for is the $100 in meat. Are you ready? Number 219. Okay. Do we keep drawing? Come on up. Congratulations. Thank you. We'll get with Mary when it's over, okay? The next item that we're going to give away is $100 in chamber bucks. Ooh. Just so you guys know what chamber bucks look like. Number 237. Happy spending. And next we're going to give away the decorative pumpkin. Number 150. Yeah, I need to do it while she's walking up. Just leave it there. Just grab 5. Thank you. Thank you. It's pretty. We're going to go ahead and close out a couple of our silent auction items. Melissa's going to grab some sheets and bring them forward, and then we'll move on with our program. Our bucket of gear, or our man gear, Sally Eggleston. The little rider donated, the bucket of gear was donated by Fechner Pump and Supply. The little rider, donated by Western Equipment, Shirley Schusler. And I'm going to say this name wrong. Opinel Knife by R&R Systems, Mike Hood. The Wildlife Series Knife, donated by R&R Systems, Joey Blanton. The All-Around Alva Gift Bag, donated by the Alva Review-Courier, the Alva Chamber, Jody Brott, and Lottie Da. It went to Rhonda Fields. Okay. At this time, I would like to welcome Mayor Kelly Parker to the stage to help present our Citizens of Distinctions Awards this evening.
Well, Tyler was right. It's kind of funny being this close to the ceiling, and trust me, I've never been there. It is an honor to be able to be here with all of you in the Chamber as we recognize some people that have truly done some great things in our community. I guess I'm just as excited as anybody. I think that some of the people that we've got up here are certainly more than deserving and truly exemplify what it means to take pride in your community and do what you can for our people and everybody else in our community. It's been a few years since we've had a gala like this. I think we give out awards on a regular basis, but the gala is something that I'm glad we're seeing brought back, and hopefully we can have this again in future years, and it just keeps getting bigger. So it's good to see all of you here tonight as well. At that, let's get into it. The first award is for EMS of the Year, and the EMS of the Year award recipient this year is Crystal Avila. And I do have a few things that these awards were nominated by the people of our community with not only the names of these individuals, but also some comments as to why they're deserving. So Crystal has been an EMT for over 15 years. She took her EMT class while she was working at the hospital, and it led to her career today. She began working part-time with the city as an EMT in 2007 and went full-time in 2008. She's taught CPR classes and first aid for the last couple of years across Northwest Oklahoma, and she has really been to a countless number of trainings and other kinds of education. And interestingly, her family history is such that her mother was a first responder in Laverne, and her daughter is also working for Alva EMS right now. So, Crystal, congratulations. The next one is the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. And for 2015, this honor is going to Ron Vasquez. Ron is a second-generation law enforcement officer. His father was a deputy and his mother was a dispatcher. He got into law enforcement because he'd seen too many issues with those close to him where bad times had come on because of bad decisions they'd made, and he was hopeful to be able to make a difference in their lives. And I had a brief conversation this morning with Superintendent Parkhurst, who some of you know that Ron has been working with the school district for the last couple of years, and Mr. Parkhurst's words were such that he is, Officer Vasquez has done a great job of bringing the children to a more comfortable level with law enforcement and a more respectful level with the rules of our society, our schools, and everything else, and has really appreciated what Ron has been able to do in the school system. So many, many years of service. He's been in Alva for the last, 6 or 8 years? Or 9 years. And it is my honor to present Ron Vasquez with our Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. Our next award is for the Healthcare Professional of the Year. And in 2015, this will go to Dr. Larry Smith. Dr. Smith grew up in Alva, deciding at a young age that practicing dentistry in his hometown was his professional goal. He graduated from the OU College of Dentistry and returned to Alva to open his own practice. His goal to educate his patients and the community about dentistry and also make sure that the experience in his office was as comfortable and relaxing as possible has certainly been one that anybody that has been in his office knows that that's a priority. His staff is truly a reflection of I guess what he stands for as a professional and as a man, and we are very honored today to have him up here with us. In addition to his practice, Larry's been very active in our community over the years, having been with the JCs, the Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce. He plays a big role in our annual car show with the race team. And again, it is my honor to present the Healthcare Professional of the Year Award to Dr. Larry Smith. Our next award is for the Teacher of the Year. In 2015, we are very honored to bring Paul Hamilton as the 2015 Teacher of the Year. I'll tell you that I appreciate Alex preparing some remarks for all of the award recipients, but I've known Paul for a very long time, and it's probably best to stick to the remarks that Alex has prepared. Paul has, in addition to being a great friend of mine, he has started many worthwhile programs with the children at Lincoln Elementary as a 5th grade teacher. The Math-a-thon competition, which has helped to raise thousands of dollars for worthy school projects over the last few years. And he's been a good sport, I guess, to say the least, with having put himself right in the line of fire, as you might say, and any type of challenge that the students might participate in, where they might get to put a wig on him or dress him up in funny clothes or anything to take the pie in the face type of move. And it is truly one where I'm honored to have Paul up here. His commitment to academic excellence has been great over the years, and he has had opportunities to do many other things, and he has chosen to stay here in Alva and teach 5th grade to the students of our community, and it is an honor to have Paul up here to present Mr. Hamilton with the Teacher of the Year Award. The next award is for the Fireman of the Year, and our 2015 recipient is Chief Kirk Treacle. Kirk started as a volunteer fireman for the Alva Fire Department in 1986, and he became full-time in 1995. In 2006, he became the assistant chief of the Alva Department, and in 2007, he became the chief. He continues to serve in this position today. In 2011, he was appointed to the State Fire Marshal Commission for the remainder of a term that eventually led to a full-time appointment to that position the following year. Numerous pieces of equipment, trucks, and other projects with our fire department have been accomplished under his command, and he has worked tirelessly over the last several years to help us achieve as a community an ISO rating, which some of you may or may not know, but that's a pretty significant number in our community's health and safety. And it may also make a difference on your insurance rates. But we have one of the best ISO ratings in the state, and we are up there with some of the largest cities in the nation. And this is all thanks to Chief Treacle and the work he's done to rally the troops and get a great team behind him and have that worthy cause and that persistence to see things through. So I'm very honored to present Chief Treacle with the Fireman of the Year Award. Our next award is the Arts and Music Award. And this evening, the honor is going to be bestowed to the Graceful Arts Center and Gallery. The concept of the Graceful Arts was developed and implemented by Dr. Peggy Wisdom. Dr. Wisdom established the Wisdom Family Foundation in 2008 to support finance, agriculture, arts, and health in and around our community across the state even. One of the goals of the foundation was to, in fact, develop the arts, and opening the Graceful Arts Center was among the first major projects completed by this foundation to honor her family. The gallery is a host of numerous activities and events, including First Friday Art Walks, which I'm sure many of you have participated, arts and education classes for all age groups, numerous rotating art exhibits, traveling exhibits and lectures and workshops, poetry readings, and artist in residence programs. It's my honor to present Dr. Kay Decker with the Graceful Arts and their staff with the Arts and Music Award 2015.
I'd like to have them stand if they would.
If the staff won't come up, will you please stand and be recognized? Don't jump, it's not worth it. The next award is for the Volunteer of the Year. This year's Volunteer of the Year is presented to Freddie Brown. This is the part I really like, because I can look out there and tell who's surprised by the award, and that means probably more than anything. It's hard to keep secrets in a town our size, and to keep it from so many people is even better. From delivering Meals on Wheels to taking community members to doctor appointments, eye appointments, and anywhere there is a need for transportation, Freddie is there. He assists with the Little Olympics and numerous other activities with the Kiwanis Club. He is the chairman of the building committee at the Cherokee Strip Museum. He mows the lawn, locates leaks, troubleshoots, and solves problems where needed at the building, and he does so at a moment's notice in many cases. He serves on many committees at the First United Methodist Church, and he also cooks and delivers meals for them. He's the setup man for almost every activity, and he's always seen working on projects in the kitchen and on the outside of the church. He helps gather up antique cars for the Cinderella contestants in our homecoming parade, and he's always willing to, I guess, do whatever anybody asks of him. You ever tell anybody no? And truly, it's that volunteer spirit that makes Freddie a really special person, and I'm extremely honored to present him the Volunteer of the Year Award. The next award is the Business of the Year. And this year, I'm very proud to present this to the Alva Review-Courier. Another surprise face. Lynn and Marion Martin are the owners of the Alva Review-Courier. They work tirelessly to write, edit, and print 2 publications, the Alva Review-Courier, a twice-a-week publication, and the Newsgram, printed on Wednesdays. I'm told, and you guys can either deny this or not, but I'm told that when Lynn and Marion were married over 50 years ago, he told her that she'd never have to work at a newspaper again. She was working at a newspaper at the time, and he was working in radio, but we'll see how that worked out.
She hasn't spoken in 25 years.
For a period of time, their daughter Marissa Dye and their granddaughter Kat Coleman were employees of the paper. Several years ago, the Alva Review-Courier won the prestigious Sequoia Award, which awarded the Alva Review-Courier Best in Class in the state of Oklahoma. They once won the negative award for biggest blooper. You may remember the bumping headlines, Alva Mayor wins bar fight. And I'm waiting on that headline, Arden. And that actually made the Jay Leno show, so it was very, and I remember that. In the last couple of weeks, the Martins have taken over the printing of the Freedom Call, saving one of the historic publications in our region from extinction. And I am extremely honored to present them the Business of the Year Award. Our last award is for the Citizen of the Year. And I am going to call someone up to help me with this. So it is my honor to ask the warden for Bill Johnson's Correctional Center, Janice Melton. I need a drink. To come up and give this distinctive honor. Warden Melton.
We've tested it, I
you feel
promise.
tall?
Here, I can keep that. Sorry.
Well, it is my honor to be asked, one, to get to do this introduction, but it is a very special honor to get to introduce the 2015 Alva Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year, Todd Holder. You know, this is a bit risky on my part now, since he actually is in charge of my job now. Okay? But I would like to read a few comments. It is impossible to capture everything that Todd has done for this community. So I hope I do it justice. Several people gave input, and so I appreciate that assistance. John, Todd Holder is a lifelong resident of Northwest Oklahoma, specifically Alva, Oklahoma. He attended Alva Public Schools and graduated from Alva High School. Todd attended the Northwestern Oklahoma State University, where he earned his bachelor's degree in business administration. Much like his father, Jim, Todd is likely one of the busiest individuals in this community. When he finishes his day job at the Alva State Bank, he proceeds to his position at Holder Drug, our local pharmacy from which the Holder family has served our community for over 40 years. Todd also manages the family farms in Woods and Custer counties. Todd has been a pilot for over 30 years, which probably explains how he can do all these things. And in 2013 was recognized by the Federal Aviation Administration with inclusion in the prestigious FAA Airman Certification Database. The database recognizes Holder and other certified pilots who have met or exceeded the high educational, licensing, and medical standards established by the FAA. And yet, Todd still finds time to serve the community in areas too numerous to fully capture. But I will highlight a few. Todd Holder may well be one of the most sought-after individuals for committees by any entity taking on a cause important to the area. He has such a passion for any initiative that will positively impact the individuals in our community or the community at large. He has served on the City of Alva Strategic Planning Committee, various NWOSU focus groups, strategic planning, and is a huge supporter of the university. As an original trustee to the Avard Regional Rail Park Authority, Todd serves as a treasurer. The Avard project has had a tremendous impact on our local economy and positioned us for future growth. A lifelong and active member of the Alva First United Methodist Church, Todd is a member of the choir where he shares his gift for vocal music. He's also been seen in many vocal productions in the Act One Community Theater. It's equally hard to list all of his talents, but one that many have benefited from is his extensive knowledge of technology. Todd is incredibly resourceful, and his network is vast, which he uses to assist others in any way needed. Todd's compassion and generosity have impacted so many. He sponsors almost every community event in town. In March of 2015, Governor Mary Fallin appointed Todd Holder to the Board of Corrections. Since the opening of BJCC in 1995, I can speak to the ongoing support of Todd for the facility's mission and for all the staff at BJCC. In his role on the Board of Corrections, Todd's influence on corrections policy and effective offender programming is having statewide impact. So one of the many things I've learned from Todd is the power of one caring person. You can't be around him for more than a minute and not hear about some idea he has. I mean, his mind never stops working. He never sees obstacles, he only sees possibilities and opportunities. He is a public servant in the truest sense. More importantly, he is God's servant, and it is evident that he allows God to lead him. Todd has touched so many lives in this room and in this community, and he truly loves Alva. So I would like to close with a poem that I'm sure Todd will recognize, as I am pretty sure he was raised hearing it and now lives it himself. And it was shared with me and has impacted my life. It was a poem that Jim gave to me early when I first came to Alva. If you want to work in the kind of a town, like the kind of a town you like, you needn't slip your clothes in a grip and start on a long hike. You'll only find what you've left behind, and there's nothing that's really new. It's a knock at yourself when you knock your town. It isn't your town, it's you. Good things are not made by men afraid, lest someone else gets ahead. When everyone works and nobody shirks, you can raise a town from the dead. And if while you make your personal stake, your neighbor makes one too, your hometown will be what you want it to be. It isn't your town, it's you. So, as one of the most humble people I have ever known, he never takes credit for anything, and I know he would prefer not to be here right now. But sometimes it's important to let others have this opportunity to honor and thank you. So, on behalf of the Alva Chamber of Commerce and the community, I guess we present you with our 2015 Citizen of the Year trophy.
In closing, thank you all for coming out this evening. We do need to announce our winners of our auction before you go. The women's handbag donated by Reflection Salon, Linda Tutwiler. The exciting announcement, the trip to Mexico, Kinsey Eli and Evie, thank you. Northwest Technology Center shirt and gift certificate, donated by Northwest Technology Center, Amelia Bushman. The Northwestern gift basket, Linda Tutwiler. The initials bag, Mary Hamilton. The Baby Love gift set, Amelia Bushman. The gift certificate to Spa Deco for a pumpkin butter facial, Terry Brown. Goldbug t-shirt, Sally Eggleston. The necklace, donated by Hot Pink Daisy and Chrome, Lynn Hamilton. Beauty in a Bag, Lynn Brown. And the Family Fun Day package, donated by Cookies Bowl Loves and the Menagerie, Jean Moore. Oop, I've got more. The Holder Drug Gift Set, Terry Brown. The Wildlife Series Knife, R&R Systems, Brenda Hood. The Mouse Pocket Knife, R&R Systems, Lori Blanton. The Titanic Knife, R&R Systems, Lori Blanton. The Titanium Knife, R&R Systems, Sherry Dunham. Candle and Bag, donated by the Twisted Knot, Sherry Dunham. The Calculator, donated by Merrifields, Mary Hamilton. The Hanging Organizer, Mary Hamilton. I'm sorry, that was donated by Daisy Village. Gift certificate for Fit Wrap, Exotic Heat Wave, Jody Bradford. The Deer Sign, donated by JPZ Designs, Amelia Bushman. The Date Night Package, donated by Alva Wine and Liquor, Rialto, and Taco Village, Linda Tutwiler. The Hunting Basket, and it just has the initials. Oh, sorry, that was donated by R&R Systems, Farmers Co-op, Sights and Sounds, Radio Shack, and the initials are H and S. Harvey Schussler, thank you. Titanium Knife, R&R Systems, Gary Brown. Thank you again for coming out this evening, and have a safe trip home.